Set 5 seconds.
There you go.
All right, guys. The attendance tonight was 18,625, sold out. We broke the gate again for North American record for a fight night, 3.06 million. The fight of the night was Swanson and Billy Q. Performance of the night goes to Michael Johnson and Jacoby. They all won $50,000. What's up? What do you got?
Dana, congrats on a great event.
Thank you.
Crazy knockouts.
Yeah.
First of all, we'll start with Buckley. Amazing performance by him. Colby obviously suffered the cut, which
Yep.
screwed him up. But give us your thoughts on that fight and how it played out.
Yeah, I was curious to see how it would go if it went 5 rounds, if it went later in the rounds. No doubt that was a bad cut, but that fight doesn't get stopped in Vegas. That fight keeps going in Vegas.
You think it could have gone?
100%.
What did you make of Buckley's performance? Since moving to welterweight, he's really improved. He's showing himself to be a real contender at that division.
Yeah, listen, you go in and beat Colby Covington, it's a big deal. Love him or hate him. The guy's a dog, fucking tough as nails. Took big shots to the body of the night. Took big shots to the head that would have knocked a lot of people out. Colby's durable and tough. But, when you get cut, anything can happen.
Do you feel like for Colby, then he shouldn't sort of be too hard on himself after this, right? Because the cut, it was bad. You could tell it was bothering him.
It was definitely bothering him. And literally, as soon as the corner would fix it, he's waiting to walk back out and he rips it open again and makes it start bleeding again. So that alone tells you that the cut was bothering him big time.
Just as looking at the Adrian Yanez fight, I don't know if you saw that, but he got kicked in the nuts and poked in the eye at the same time. The referee didn't take a point. In situations like that, would you like the referee to be a bit more involved and take points, or do you hope that they don't get involved and kind of influence the fight like that?
I have no idea. I mean, yeah, I would say that a double foul is probably definitely worthy of taking. So I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. We did looking for a fight, the Korean Zombie show. And I felt like the judging and the reffing was better over there in Korea than what we got going on. So listen, I've had a lot of problems with judging reffing over the last several fights.
Last event of the year. So let's take a look back at this year. You keep breaking records, like you said. With the gate records for fight nights, what do you attribute that to? Why do you keep breaking records every time you go and host events?
The business keeps growing. I mean, the business keeps growing as we continue to go into places that we haven't been in a while. Who wants to come? Who walks out of here tonight and goes, yeah, I don't ever want to do this again? It just doesn't happen.
When you look back at the year, right, you had some pretty crazy one-off sort of monumental moments. For you personally, which one are you most proud of? Are you proud of 300, the Sphere, 303, getting that put back together on 2 weeks' notice? Which one are you most happy with?
You're not wrong. And I've been saying this as the year is closing. Every year for the last 17 years, I've said, how do we beat this year? And every year we do. But not just this year, but the Sphere is probably the greatest thing we've ever pulled off ever. And you notice, not only has nobody done it again yet, or nobody's even talking about doing it. It's just what we pulled off and what we achieved at the Sphere. It might never be done again.
Putting you on the spot, fighter of the year, Alex Pereira or Ilia Topuria? Which one are you going with?
Fighter of the year? Yeah. It's tough with those two. It's tough. And when you look at Alex, he's taking last minute fights. He's on vacation, comes in and fights, not 100%, comes in and fights. I mean, it's tough. I don't even want to say a name, but I respect the shit out of both of them for what they've done this year.
Okay. And last one from me, a little bit of a random question. I wondered if you could do me a favor, call up your friend Trump and find out what these drones over New Jersey are, and if we can get
Find out if he's what?
Find out what these drones over New Jersey are.
I think he posted it today, what they were.
What are they? Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Hey.
Buckley called out Usman. Is that a fight that you think makes sense?
Yeah, listen, Usman's one of the best ever. I didn't hear him. I didn't know that, but yeah. A fight doesn't suck.
And overall, what'd you think of Colby? I know the fight was stopped from a cut, but from a performance standpoint until the stoppage, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, listen, Colby's an older guy. that fights, you know, every once in a while. He's always durable and he's always tough. Like I just said to him, did you hear the body shots he was getting hit with tonight and the head shots he took? That stuff would have stopped, you know, other guys. Colby's tough. But I also feel like Colby wasn't too pissed that fight got stopped by the cut. The cut was definitely bothering him.
Mano Cape had a lot to say, right? You guys had a combo there.
Yeah, we had a nice conversation tonight.
Yeah, he's like, you were like, yo, I'll meet you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Did you get to talk to him? And if so, how was that conversation?
How do you know what we were talking about? That's fascinating. Yeah. He said, you know, this, that, and I said, well, let's finish this one first. You got 5 more minutes. So, and he went out and he did it.
Is he getting the next title shot at flyweight, you think?
No, he's not getting a title shot, but we'll definitely give him what he's looking for.
Okay. And Cub Swanson, a veteran of the game, you know, WEC still out here representing. He said that he might retire. He still doesn't know. He said, we'll see. But if this is the last performance, I mean, what a way to walk out, right? If this is
it is the way to go. And it's what's funny is he says, I promised my wife this would be my last one, but I don't know. We'll see. You know, when a fighter wins, and especially wins as spectacularly as he did tonight, it's just so hard for these guys to walk away. But to be honest with you, if Cub says, you know, I promised this to my wife, I'm going to walk away, I'm happy for him. If he says, you know what, I definitely got one more in, I don't disagree with him.
And I want to ask you about Ilia Topuria. Earlier this week, he said he wants to go up to 155 and fight Charles Oliveira. I'm sure you probably heard those comments. Is that a possibility for him?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Well, he's interested in
I don't
fighting.
know. I mean, right here, right now, I don't know.
Okay. And any word on potentially going to Spain? I know that's a market that's been blowing up. Obviously, we just saw.
No new news on that, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
In 25, I want to go to a lot of places that we haven't been. I'm sure you're already hearing rumblings of places that we're going to go that we haven't been to in a minute. But Spain is definitely high on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana, you said that Manel's not getting a title shot at 125 after this performance. Who is getting a title shot?
No clue. Sitting right here, right now. No clue.
Dustin Poirier said has been teasing one last fight, his last dance, and recently he was on Twitter and he said basically that he's got something cooking and that quote unquote there will be blood. Have you guys planned something for Dustin? You have to like reveal obviously.
No, we're in the middle of talks for him with something that he wants to do for the end of his career. Yeah.
And then one other thing I wanted to ask you about is obviously you're asked about the PFL and the competition all the time, but I don't know if you saw there's another league that's going to be starting up, the GFL, and there's a wide array of names, very familiar names, a lot of names who have fought in the UFC that are there, and people are reacting in certain ways. A lot of really old retired fighters that are trying to get back in there and make. I mean, that's just basically what it is. But what was your reaction to not only this new league starting? I know it's been teased for a couple of years, but we're actually seeing some of the roster. What did you?
I actually don't know anything about it. I say this all the time. I welcome everybody. You know, listen, there's no barrier to entry to get into this sport. And, you know, I hear a lot of people saying that we don't do this right. We don't do that right. Come on in, everybody. Dive in.
Yeah, so some of the names mentioned: Tyron Woodley, Fabricio Verdum, Anthony Pettis, Junior Dos Santos, Luke Rockhold, Frank Mir, Arlovsky, Benson Henderson, Vanderlei Silva, Gegard Mousasi, and the list goes on and on. There's a lot of names like that, especially seeing like Vanderlei's name on there. It's probably the one that sticks out the most. What do you think when you hear that name as a guy who potentially could be fighting?
Fascinating. I'll believe it when I see it. Yep.
Hello, Dana. Here.
Hi.
I'm gonna do some questions in Spanish. Fabián will translate.
Yes, sir.
First of all, bueno, lo primero de todo, quería saber cómo valoras la actuación de Joel el Fenómeno Álvarez después de haber noqueado de esa manera a Drakkar Klose.
First of all, how do you see the performance by Joel Alvarez? Another great performance by the Spaniard, Joel Alvarez, tonight.
Yeah. Obviously, I was just saying to him, looking very forward to going to Spain and trying to figure that out. So, yeah, hopefully, great performance, but hopefully we're going to see more Spanish fighters in the UFC.
Tremendo desempeño, pero esperamos, como estaba mencionando, que nuestra intención es España y espero que vamos a ver más performances como este en la UFC.
And one of the things that happens is when we go into a new market that we've never been, and you introduce the people to the live event, whatever size the arena is, you assume will sell out or come close to selling out. And you create this explosion in the market in these different places. And I look forward to doing that in Spain.
Y lo que pasa cuando entramos en un mercado nuevo, hacer el evento en vivo, en una ubicación, una arena, lo que sea deportiva, no importa el tamaño, siempre va a introducir o va a presentar a toda la gente al concepto. O sea, hay una explosión de interés por el deporte y creo que es eso que queremos hacer en España.
Joel tiene 22 victorias profesionales y 22 finalizaciones. ¿Crees que ya tendría la entidad suficiente como para ser la pelea estelar de un Fight Night en España en lugar de un pay-per-view si es más complicado llevarlo a nuestro país?
Joel's got 22 victories and 22 finishes. Do you think that right now he's got the cachet and he's got the record to perhaps be a main event in Spain, meaning a fight night, way easier than doing a pay-per-view?
Yeah. No, I think if we go first time in Spain, you go big and you do a pay-per-view. Make it a big event.
O sea, la primera que fuera en España, que sería un evento numerado.
También ha trasladado Joel durante esta semana que tenía la intención de pasar al peso welter, bueno, pues por la dificultad siempre del recorte de peso siendo tan grande. ¿Crees que es una posibilidad para él o preferirías que se mantuviera en el peso ligero?
And he actually mentioned throughout the week and after the fight that he wanted to jump from 155 to 170 at welterweight because his weight cuts are really hard. How do you see that, him being another one jumping from 155 to 170?
Yeah, I don't love when guys jump around. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know.
No me gusta cuando hacen eso, pero de cualquier manera vamos a ver qué pasa.
Las for me, la última pregunta, es respecto también a Ilia Topuria. Dijo en el partidazo de la COPE, es un programa famoso en España, que su intención era ir a por el cinturón del peso ligero y como Makhachev ya tenía pelea, quería ir a por Charles Oliveira. ¿Esto es una opción real? Y en caso de que eso no sea una opción real, ¿Alexander Volkanovski será el siguiente rival de Ilia Topuria?
Piggybacking on the question from before, this week, Ilia Topuria in a big show in Spain mentioned that he's pretty much done with his current weight division. He would like to jump up and face Charles Oliveira, meaning that if he's not available there, or if that doesn't happen with Charles, would Alex Volkanovski be the next one then to face? If he doesn't go up and doesn't face Charles Oliveira, would that be Volk against Ilya?
Same response. I have no idea right now. Listen, this is the last fight of the year. We're off for a month. We'll get our shit back together in 25 and we'll figure out what's next for everybody.
Lo mismo de antes, la última pelea del año, tenemos 4 semanas de vacaciones. Deja que vamos a concluir las cosas.
Dana right here. What did you think of Michael Johnson tonight? Kind of turned back the clock, big KO, and then he came back here and said, I want to do this 5 more years or more.
Yeah. Well, listen, tell me the last Michael Johnson fight that sucked. I mean, that guy comes out first round, guns a-blazing. You know, he always tries to win. He's a fun guy to watch. And, yeah, been here for a long time, and I'm happy for him.
And you just said you don't love guys jumping around, but earlier this week, Michael Chandler said, hey, I'd go up to 170 to fight Colby. Is that something you would?
Everybody's talking about, you know, I don't know. I have no response to any of those types of whatever the fighters are talking about. Every Tuesday we get in a room and we'll figure out what's going on.
Fair enough. Thanks very much.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't really pay a lot of attention to the talk. I literally, people will go, oh, did you know this guy? I said, no, I have no fucking idea. I don't pay attention to any of this shit. I live in my own little bubble and we do our things on Tuesday and we figure this stuff out. And yeah, I don't hear a lot of this stuff unless this woman right here tells me I don't know about it. Go ahead.
Na semana passada eu te perguntei se haveria evento no Brasil, você confirmou, mas não sabia exatamente onde. Eu queria saber se você já pode falar pra gente se no Brasil, no ano que vem, vai ser um evento numerado, um pay-per-view ou um fight night. E quem sabe se você já pode dizer onde vai ser no Brasil o evento.
Last week at 310, I asked you if you were going to go to Brazil in 2025, and he said yes, you just didn't know or wasn't going to say where yet. Can you say something about the future Brazilian city? And are we going to see in the first semester a pay-per-view or fight night? What is it going to be like?
This is what I can tell you. Right now, while I'm sitting here in Tampa Bay, I have a bunch of people in Brazil on a bunch of different levels in meetings in Brazil for lots of things that are going to go on in 25 in Brazil.
O que eu posso dizer para você é que tem muita gente no Brasil nesse momento que está, enquanto que ele está aqui em Tampa, tem um pessoal no Brasil se reunindo para tentar acertar a casa e ver outras coisas e muitas iniciativas no Brasil para o ano que vem.
Dana, here to your left. With such a big year this year, and we know that you have such high ambitions, what's the goal looking like for 2025?
Yeah, like I was just saying earlier, like every year over the last 17 years, I've said, how is next year going to be bigger than this year? And some of the stuff that we're already working on is, like I was just telling this gentleman in Brazil, and on multiple levels, not just, UFC. We got power slap meetings going on down there. SLS, which I own a piece of, did an event down there today, and UFC stuff that is being worked on right now in Brazil. We're talking about, Spain and all these other places, not to mention Seattle and Chicago and, these other places that we haven't been in a long time. So I anticipate a lot of big fights. I got something in the works right now. I'll drive you fuckers crazy. All you guys will be running around. I got something in the works that you will never fucking see coming for 2025. That literally started to come together last night. And we got some fun stuff coming up.
And just one more for you, Dana. With the first pay-per-view of the year being at the Intuit Dome, we know it's a
that too.
State-of-the-art arena with the Halo screen. Not to mention there's the interaction that they show during the basketball games with fans. Do you guys have anything special for the ambiance plan for that event?
Yeah. I won't treat you like the guy that asked me that last weekend. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, the guy said, "Are you going to do it?" I said, "No, we're not going to do any of it." Yes, I'm excited to go to that arena. That's another one. We haven't been to LA in a long time. And to go into, ever since we did the Sphere, my philosophy is arenas like that are going to start popping up all over the world where, there's a lot more as technology gets better with the screens and, the quality of stuff that you can do. I mean, how many, were any of you at the Sphere? I know you were, but I mean, come on, right? So I just went and saw the Eagles, which is fucking incredible. I love the Eagles. I'm a huge Eagles fan. I'm a huge Joe Walsh fan. And the stuff that they put on the screen was really cool. That went with the music and stuff. But when you see what we did at the Sphere, it's just like, I don't know if that will ever be done again. We spent over $20 million on it, and it was a one of one, and it was a fucking amazing night. If my production team doesn't win every fucking award that exists in production, they're full. All the awards are full of shit. They're all full of shit. Tell me one fucking sporting event in 2024 that even comes within 100,000 miles of what we did at the Sphere. So the answer to your question, sir, is yes. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
One more question about 311. It will be a really tough tournament in the terms of security. 2 guys from Dagestan, 1 guy from Armenia, 1 guy from Georgia, and we have seen a fight between Merab and Umar on the last pay-per-view. So if compare this tournament 311 to the event with Khabib and Conor, there will be more security measures in LA or the same?
We're going to reduce security when we go into LA for that fight. We'll cut it in half. We'll be okay, sir. That's what we do. Obviously, the Khabib Conor thing we were ready for. One guy missed his leg by fucking inches from keeping him from jumping over, but it happened. We'll do everything we can to make sure that it's safe there.
And quick one from me. You said that you watched the Korean Zombie Fight Night. What's the destiny of the guy from press conference in Abu Dhabi? He lost by decision, so his road to UFC is now closed for now.
Yeah, no, I picked the other guy. I don't know if you wouldn't know that, but I picked the other guy. He won the fight. He looked damn good doing it. He was the better, well-rounded fighter. The other kid looked very one-dimensional. And the Korean Zombie told me he had a lot of problems with that kid that week, threatening to pull out of the fight if he didn't get more cornermen and crazy shit like that. So, yeah, played out the way it should have.
Thank you.
Good?
Dana,
Yeah.
Real quick, since this is the last time we'll speak to you probably for the remaining of the year. Jones versus Aspinall, is that sort of the big priority, and you think that's the biggest fight the promotion can put on in 2025?
100%. And I think it's probably the biggest fight in heavyweight history, and it's a massive fight in the history of the company too. It's a big fight.
Yeah, we know Tom Aspinall's down. Jones is kind of like on the fence, or at least that's what he said publicly. But
Right.
have you talked?
It's weird.
How confident?
What's weird about that? Let me tell you what's weird about that. So usually those guys say that shit behind the scenes and not publicly. Jon says that shit publicly, but not behind the scenes. Jon is a very unique individual to deal with. From day one, I've been confident that Jon Jones would do that fight, right? I mean, even before the fight, I said if he won, there's no way Jon doesn't do this fight. Jon Jones isn't afraid to fight anybody, and that's a fact. And the only time that anything remotely weird has ever happened with Jon Jones was the time that his fucking camp did the weird Chael Sonnen thing. We can't fight Chael Sonnen on short notice. Other than that, and that wasn't him. It was his team, and he listened to his team for whatever reason. But that's like the goofiest fucking move in the history of the UFC. But other than that, Jon Jones behind the scene is not a guy that turns down fights.
Would you guarantee 100% we see that fight?
Yeah. I'll say 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dana, thanks for your time. I just want to talk about Colby for a sec because, I mean, he's already gotten his shot at gold 4 times if we're counting interim. After a loss like tonight, what's next for him?
I don't know. You're going to have to ask him that question. You know, he's obviously still one of the top-ranked guys. Like we were saying about him all night. Took big shots, stayed in there. Cut was obviously bothering him. But I also believe that if that fight's in Vegas, that fight doesn't get stopped with that cut. And but I don't think that Colby was very upset when it did. It was bothering him.
So you think that was almost a way out for him?
No, I'm not saying it was a way out. He didn't say, hey, look at my cut. The ref stopped the fight and called the doctor in, and the doctor called the fight. So it's not, he doesn't have a decision in that matter. So no, it's not a way out. I like the way you fucking spun that though, and see how I would answer that. And then everybody would write, that isn't even in this fucking press conference, that Dana said Colby was looking for a way out with the cut. That's the fucking dumb shit that happens in these press conferences that drive me fucking crazy. So thank you, sir, but go ahead.
Thank you. On a brighter note, it was a good year for MMA in Florida dating back to 299. I mean, fans just seem to love the sport here. So is there a timeline for a return to Florida and maybe a specific venue?
Look, Florida is the fucking greatest state in the entire country, man. It has been since day one of fucking COVID. And if you look at the way the state has handled itself and maneuvered over the last several years, I had zero expectations coming into Tampa Bay. I didn't know anything about Tampa Bay. This is an incredible city. Great hotels, restaurants. I mean, the restaurants are off the charts. People everywhere. The people here are really nice. You know, Florida is probably the greatest state in the country right now. Nobody can deny it. And then you meet all these people that moved here from lots of other places, and they couldn't be happier. And the answer is, yeah, Florida's fucking awesome.
I moved here from New York, and I agree.
You're the millionth person I've met from fucking New York that moved here too.
Yeah, it's awesome. I just got one more for you. Izzy just took his first non-title fight, and I mean, over 12 fights. So can you just walk us through how that one came together?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about that fight, we were tripping out. This guy hasn't fought in a non-title fight since like 19, which is a testament to how great of a fighter he is and has been over the last several years. And that's why we headlined him in Saudi on the fight night.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody. Happy holidays and happy New Year, and I'll see you next year.
Well, Cub, first of all, congratulations on a sick fight, even sicker finish. Give us your thoughts. You've had some time to digest it. How do you feel about your performance in the fight in general?
I love the finish. Watched it a bunch of times just a little bit ago, and it's something I do in training quite a bit. I'm kind of surprised with myself. I waited so long to throw that exact combo, but it was a tough fight. I was definitely doubting myself at some moments in there. But I was having fun. I was trying to be in the moment and just enjoy it.
Obviously, you must have had promised your partner that this is going to be the last one. So when you're in there and you're fighting, is that at any point going through your mind like, fuck, I need to enjoy this more than I usually will. I really need to focus on being here. Does that go through your mind when you're in there thinking it could be the last time?
Yeah. I mean, I try not to put too much on it because it's all, it's ultimately my decision and what I want to do. But yeah, my biggest things for this fight was just to not be pressured, put the pressure on myself to perform and be tense and just have this like war. I had a little bit of a war, but I was trying to be fast and loose and paint a picture and make it beautiful. It's something I could be proud of. And if it was the last, that I could say, man, I'm happy with that.
Obviously you said that, I know after every big fight and big win, negotiations have to happen. Have you started having those with your wife yet? Are you talking about getting back in there one more time? It seems like you could be tempted to do it again.
I mean, I'm always going to be tempted. We'll see how I heal up. I got 3 little kids that are getting a little bit older now and definitely want my attention more. And I got a bunch of fighters, my team Bloodline, the guys I manage and coach. I put a lot of effort into them, and these last couple of fights have really allowed me to show them how to do it and not just talk about it. I was able to be about it and show them, lead by example. And I honestly am more excited to be a coach at this point. I love the sport. And the nice thing about being on the other side of the cage is I don't go home with lumps and bruises.
For what it's worth, crazy war, classic Cub Swanson fight with a finish like that. It feels like a pretty good way to go out for a fighter.
For sure. That definitely could be a storybook ending. So, yeah, it's going to have to be something exciting to get me motivated.
Congratulations, mate. And fantastic career as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cub, I guess what's going to be the determining factor whether you continue fighting or not? Is it 100% on the wife, or is there other things as well as how you feel, or,
I mean, you guys, we don't got to put pressure on my wife. She's just looking out for me. I mean, my mom and my stepmom both, who both are very close to me, begged me to stop fighting in 2011 when I fractured my face, and I could have stopped then. I could have stopped at any moment. But I just always felt like I had more to do. And at this point, I feel like I've done a lot, and I'm proud of it. So, yeah, like I said, it'd have to be something really exciting. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. A lot of fighters, when it's time to hang it up, they get very emotional. I don't know if maybe you're hiding it, but you seem very also at peace with it. Like if this is it, like you're cool with that. Is that accurate?
Well, I put a lot of thought into it. I've had a lot of emotions go through me. It's a tough decision. And, when I lost my manager during the whole COVID thing, I really had to sit back and say, there is life after fighting, and you should probably start thinking about that. And it really put things into perspective for me. That was a really hard blow, and I did what I always do, and I got back in the gym and tried to get right back on the horse and channel my emotions with the fight, and I learned after that fight, like, man, you really need to figure things out in between fights. You need to focus on what comes after fighting, and I've been doing that, and I've been able to build this amazing team, and yeah, I'm pretty passionate about being a coach, and I have a lot of knowledge to pay forward, and that's what my number one concern is, besides being a father and a husband.
if this is it, favorite career moment?
I mean, the Doo Ho Choi fight is so hard to top. I have so many fights that are special for different moments. People don't understand. Like, there's so many things that happen in camps and in your life that you need to overcome, and so there's special fights for different reasons. But for sure, the Doo Ho Choi fight, because I had the fight of the year, I made the Hall of Fame because of it, and then I found out I was going to be a father that night. So that's pretty hard to top.
Congratulations, Cub. A lot of people, you mentioned Doo Ho Choi, are saying that if you do have one more fight, they'd love to see you run it back with Doo Ho Choi. Any interest in that? Would that be one of those fights that would bring you back for one more, or do you feel like there's no way we could top the first one?
That one's possible. Although he looked amazing in his last fight, and this makes me want to sit back and relax a little bit. But I just know the fans would be ecstatic for that one, so that one would be hard to say no to. But yeah, we'll see.
Are there like any other names that would be like automatic jumps? Like, I know you and Jose Aldo had a very short fight. It's like it never got going, and I know he's a bantamweight now, but maybe he jumps up to 45. Could that be something? Like, are there certain names? You probably just have like a short list of guys that would be excited. Is he one of them? Are there other names that you can share?
That's possible. I really don't have any names. Like I said, I've just been taking it one fight at a time, and I've just been so focused on me and trying to, go out there and have great fights. I try not to look too far forward when it comes to fighting.
And then last thing, did you get to watch Joaquin fight tonight against Colby? Did you get to watch the main event at all?
No, I didn't get to see much of it, but I saw him. We shook hands. Me and him are cool. We've ran into each other. We've talked many times, and yeah, we're cool.
So I asked you at media day, like, is there anything you do to make it happen? So he did apologize for calling you the H word.
Yeah, he apologized for that, and we still see things differently, but I think there's mutual respect there, and we laughed a couple times. It's all good.
Cub right here. Congrats on the win. You mentioned Bloodline, and I'm just curious, now that you have that experience, that side of the business, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your career coming up?
Not a thing. I'm the person I am because of every decision I made and every hurdle I've had and everything I've overcome. So I definitely wouldn't do it any other way. I'm happy with my life.
Does it give you kind of a sense of pride that now you can guide this next generation of fighters that are going to be going through all this?
Oh yeah. I a while ago when I was asking myself, what are you good at? What are you going to do after this? Do you want to be away from the sport when you're ready to walk away? And I've thought about it so many times, and it's like, well, I have this incredible wealth of knowledge of this very unique sport that not a lot of people have the same amount of knowledge for. And with all my shortcomings in my career and all my ups and downs and my injuries and all the craziness, I've learned so much how to rebuild myself. I mean, how many times have they said I was done, I'm over the hill, I can't do it anymore? It's been so many times that I've been able to rebuild, and I think that ability is going to make me a strong coach. And I think that I have all the tools to be a good coach and a good mentor to the next generation. So it just seemed fitting that's what I do.
Thanks very much. Looking forward to it in or out of the cage.
Thank you. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Man, that was a fantastic performance and a great
Appreciate
win.
it. Appreciate it.
Did you kind of see that going that way before you got?
Yeah. My first main event was a big success. I feel like the whole card, you know what I mean, was very successful. You know what I mean, getting a lot of knockouts. I feel like, you know, my fight, you know, shouldn't been stopped, but, you know, it is what it is. You got to protect the fighters. But I feel like 2025, man, is definitely my year, and we definitely taking over, you know. With this being said, you know, this is on a 6-fight winning streak. You know, I got, you know, 8 knockouts, you know, within the UFC. I feel like I didn't done enough to really kind of put myself in a position to kind of, you know, yet again, fight for that title. And even though I know that Shavkat is next, you know, blessed to that fight. But if anything happens where Shavkat or Bilal doesn't, you know, step up into the octagon, I'm willing to, you know, face them. So at the end of the day, man, we're going to keep this nice and short, bro. I'm definitely looking to take that throne, man, 2025, bro. So we out, baby. Thank you.